The Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What's going on, Chip? Good to see you on again tonight. Welcome everybody here in the On the Chain family. Tonight we're going to get into and dissect, tear apart XRP. Chip, is it a good investment? I don't know. We're going to discuss that. Ripple hiring all the talent of the SEC, leaving them with nothing. What do they know? Let's talk about that too. There's a lot going on in the space. Chip, every day is a new day, and there always seems to be some new controversial news and also some amazing projects that are being thrust into the forefront.
Yeah, all I can say, Jeff, is it's the most exciting time to be alive. Be thankful that you're here tonight, that you're here in the space, and that you're here early. Let's go.
Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
All right, Chip,
good
man.
To be early. It's good to be the king.
It's good to be early. It's good to be here. Quick shout out to permission.io. Chip, you know how you're browsing around the internet and you run into all these pesky ads out there. How much money do you make off those ads?
I'm going to go with zero. They make money off my back, Jeff, and my
data.
They're
making billions and billions of dollars off your data. Permission.io seeks to change that. Can you imagine? They want to change that, taking on the behemoth Google. It's kind of like Ripple taking on the behemoth Swift. Think about that. With permission.io, they let you download this cool browser extension. Once you do that, every so often you get this little thing that says, hey, you want to watch this video? You say yes. And when you watch that video, you get to earn crypto. You earn their ASK token, ASK token. It's really cool. It's a way to get engaged with the crypto space. Some people are logging in and signing up for permission.io. Might add the ASK token might be their very first experience with digital assets. Very, very cool. Hey, Chip. So, man, all sorts of things going on. All sorts of good things going on.
There's a lot of cool things going on. And, it's every day, Jeff, I spend a little bit of time. And there's so much great stuff coming into the space. And, every once in a while, there's going to be naysayers that people, they don't like Bitcoin. The El Salvadorians they're rebelling, but they only show like one small sector. And meanwhile, if you don't want it, you don't have to participate. And if you get it, you can have it automatically in dollars because they use the dollar. So it's like, what's there to lose? Almost. And they're making a big thing out of this. And what's so funny is like, who's pushing this propaganda? It's like
I've wondered that myself. Right? Somebody is fomenting that. It's
kind of like, who could possibly be behind it? I'm not going to speculate on that, but I think our audience is smart enough to know. And then they're blowing it up. And if you guys have ever seen how the news media does, they go all protest and they take a photo of like people holding 7 signs, and it looks like there's this giant crowd. Then you pull back and it's only like 8 people.
Exactly. So, but I think I ran into this one guy, and I think he's on to who's behind the whole thing going down in El Salvador. Yeah, and I know he's out looking.
Gary!
I figured it was going to be Gary. I knew it, Jeff. I just knew it. Let's jump into some of the quick content. So one of the great things about what we've been learning more and more every day about some of the filings, and James Filan has been great. If you guys aren't following him, he's just a great resource. Anytime something drops and hits that docket, boom, he's sharing it. He's throwing his 2 cents in there, and he's telling us about it. And of course, none other than John E. Deaton laid something out pretty spectacular. And we're going to kind of look at it right here because take a look at this.
Let's see what do we got.
Look at this right here. So this is John Deaton. He goes, the Ripple attorneys seem to almost guarantee that Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP documents that the SEC refuses to turn over will be absolutely exculpatory and potentially end the case. It's almost as if Ripple defense team knows something that the public doesn't. What do you think about that, Jeff, on its face?
I think that there's something going on that they do know, but there's definitely something. And obviously, I believe, their lawyers have outwitted, outplayed the SEC lawyers at every single turn. So obviously, there's something that they know, that they've learned, right? That they're bringing their lawyers are really doing a good job so far.
Yeah, and so he goes on to say, but how could these Ripple attorneys possibly know what these SEC documents showed? Have you looked up the Ripple defense team? Mary Jo White, former chairwoman of the SEC. Meredith Cross, former director of corporate finance at the SEC. Andrew Chesney, who served for nearly 4 years as the director of enforcement at the SEC under the chair, Mary Jo White. Then you got Matthew Solomon, who was the attorney on the call, who formerly served as the SEC's Chief Enforcement Litigation Counsel. Now, that sounds like a dream team to me. They might have a clue regarding what these documents show.
They might. They just might. Plus, they know the playbook. They know how the SEC is operating and functioning. Even though they might bring some new attorneys in, but they understand the dynamics of it. So even maybe they're looking at this, even if the SEC doesn't have a strong case, they're still going to fight it. And they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to outmaneuver them. Plus, they have all this other information. I wonder if there's any such thing. You come out of the SEC, all that knowledge packed into your brain about all these different variables. Are there any kind of NDAs or anything that they're not allowed to bring with them and say, now that you've left the SEC, you kind of have to forget about all this stuff that you've witnessed, all these things that I can't imagine. So overall, Chip, they're hiring the best and the brightest. They're bringing them on their team. That's what you would expect. Kind of a play you see Binance US when they hired Brian Brooks. They want the best of the best. And what's amazing to me is that when Binance.us or Binance Global ran into some issues, Brian Brooks hit the road. He said, see ya, we're not seeing eye to eye on things anymore. Whereas this team, they're hanging in there with Ripple. The SEC's coming at them full blaze, blaze of glory over here from the SEC. And Gary Gensler doubles down. They don't go anywhere, right? They're hanging in there, as strong as can be. What does that tell you?
I think it tells us a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot to unpack there. Something else that Deaton shared, which I find this to be fascinating. Let me pull this up right here. This is, sometimes when you just agree with somebody, you're like, yeah, I kind of agree with that, or like, yeah, maybe. Yeah, kind of what Chip said, or I think Jeff has a point. But there's other times, Jeff, we are like, man, that is so cool, so spot on that I wish I'd said it myself. And so what I'm basically talking about is, so Pomp, our boy Pomp, put out a tweet, and he has a podcast called Off the Chain. We prefer to live on the chain because that's where the blockchain is, but he lives off the chain, whatever. And so Pomp puts out this tweet: the world changed forever 50 years ago today. What the F happened in 1971? Well, Jeff, do you want to enlighten us what happened in 1971?
Start with something with gold.
Something with gold, right? And do you remember it was, not that we remember, but, but back in the day, they said it's only temporary. Why? Because there were speculators. There's too many people speculating. So they always have some silly, straw man argument over here. There's speculators. Well, who are they? We can't afford to have speculators. Well, why? Well, because they could potentially, are they going to show up one day and then turn all the money in for gold and then bankrupt the US? No. And back then, no one's paying attention. Everyone's like, yeah. Then the next thing that happens is everybody starts making more money thinking, oh my God, this is great. But then everything becomes more expensive. So you have inflation that sets in. So now a car that used to cost $3,000 in like 1969 now it costs $7,000 to $10,000 in 1975. But people are like, well, that's okay because I make more money. Yeah, but then you needed 2 jobs. You needed 2 people. You needed a mom and a dad and a working family to make ends meet, where before you could do it because the dollar bought so much more. And as soon as they uncoupled it with gold, then it became almost worthless. And then they started printing it like crazy. So Deaton totally nails this. He goes,
like it.
When the U.S. no longer backed the USD with gold, morons like Paul Krugman, and he is the biggest moron on planet Earth, bragged that the USD was backed by something much better than gold, the United States Marines. It's because of arrogant idiots like Krugman that we face a financial reckoning. And this guy is propped up. Of course, he's a writer. He's supposedly an economist for the New York Times. They prop him up like he's the gold standard of economists, and he's wrong. He's been wrong for 40 years, Jeff, on every single occasion. Every time he says something, every time he opens his mouth, he's been absolutely wrong. And I remember one time I said something about Krugman, and I think Deaton liked it too. So I was like, "Oh, that's cool. He's on the same page."
Chip, I think he's an alleged economist.
That's a better way to put it, Jeff. He is an alleged economist because economists tend to be right 2 out of 3 times, and Krugman is wrong all the time.
At least 1 out of every 1 times.
He's a nutter. And then this one here, let's just get into another one. This one is by Scott Chamberlain. Scott is a former attorney. He's now an entrepreneurial fellow at ANU College of Law, UBRI and Lex Automagica project, which is something he's running. But I like his take on this because it's kind of like a little bit of what we talked about. But he says right here, he goes, the SEC enforcement seems psychopathic. It seems willing to say whatever it needs to say to win the issue before it, regardless of contradicting what it said before. It actually has no coherent theory about the application of the Howey to crypto. Just hand wavy nonsense. Like, look over here. And he's so right on. They make absolutely no sense. And they're like, meanwhile, the XRP community and crypto community at large, we're looking around like this, Jeff. Like, is everyone paying attention to this?
Well, that's the crazy part about it is that you start getting there is a psychosis in both the economics and the Democrat system, democracy, I should say, and the psychosis of both kind of free capital, free capitalist, free market, as well as free society, is that people end up bending over backwards to do and oppose their own freedoms, right? And then they start making up all sorts of crazy excuses as to why they're bending over backwards to oppose their own freedoms. And in most cases, and I reference this book all the time because this guy was amazing, Paul Eidelberg, and he coined this term demophrenia. He might not have coined it. Maybe someone else did. But it's the schizophrenic nature of democracy. And it fits so perfect with so many of these people because you begin to see the psychosis of what they're going to give up in order to avoid something that may have happened, but they want to avoid it again in the future. So then they make all these ideas up and they start taking away little by little, eroding your freedoms. Take into consideration taxation, right? Overall, taxation is unconstitutional. But now it's so far overreaching that we've all acknowledged that we're okay paying taxes, sales tax, property tax, income tax, I don't know, there's millions of taxes. So when you realize how much money you spend on taxes, then, and what are we sacrificing? Because we say for the better good, right? And it's
always for the good, Jeff.
It's always for the good. We give up the gold standard. Why do we give up the gold standard? Because it's for the better good. Krugman, well, don't worry about the gold standard because we have the largest, we have the most powerful army in the world. We have nuclear missiles. No one's going to mess with us. That's what's propping us up, Chip.
He's a nut job. Well, so Scott jumps into the schizophrenic nature right here of them. Like, listen to this. So here he goes. I mean, to defeat the fair notice defense, the SEC cites Hinman's speech as guidance. Then to defeat discovery of internal memos, it says Hinman's speech was a personal opinion. Then to claim DDP, it asserts all the work helping Hinman's frame his speech were pre-decisional work products, right, Jeff? It is a little bit schizophrenic, right? It's all over the place, and they'll do and say anything. And I'm telling you, the judge is paying attention.
Oh man, the judge is so upset. How can you negate what the judge or go against what the judge says when the judge tells you over and over and over again, this is the expectation, this is what she wants, and then you ignore it. And you ignore it, and you ignore it, and then what? At what point does she say, "Hey, this is awesome"? I love how you're ignoring what I'm telling you.
But Jeff, great. But a lot of that comes from being high and mighty, right? Thinking that they're bigger than they are. Oh, we're the almighty SEC. We're this powerful government organization. In the eyes of the courts, you know what they have there? It's got they've got the scales, and they've got justice, the female that's blinded because it's justice is blind. But the SEC's steamrolling into it like, oh, did we say that it was Hinman's personal opinion? Oh, we meant that, well, it depends. It depends because before we said that, no, it was just guidance. So they're undoing themselves And the funny thing about this, people act like, well, maybe in the 1700s, it required a good memory. It's like, wait a minute, I kind of remember you saying something different. Now we've got recordings, we've got videotape. And I love today when politicians go, no, I didn't say that. And then you pull the video and it's like, there they are saying it. That's not me. It's a deep fake.
I don't
I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it like that. It was taken out of context. No, man, you said it. So that's where we're at right now. And then Chamberlain says, it says the fair notice defense is objective, then to defeat the in-camera review of withheld discovery documents says the defendant's subjective view is all that matters.
I think their subjective view is very objective.
It's very, very subjective, I believe. Their objective view is subjective, yeah. It pleads that XRP is a security, then to defeat Deaton's application to intervene, claims the way Ripple sold XRP, that's all that matters. Then it refuses to answer interrogatories about how it says Ripple sold XRP on the basis that those facts are irrelevant because XRP is a security. People are nuts, Jeff. They're absolutely insane.
And it is amazing because they're always going to keep coming back to their premise. So here's our premise. Here's what happened. And it's because of our premise. But your premise hasn't been proven. So you can keep fighting your premise, you can keep making those statements. But the more you make the statements, doesn't make it accurate or true. No, but they're going to keep repeating it over and over as many times as Gary Gensler says, it's clear, there's clarity, it's clear, there's clarity. There isn't going to be clarity. Although back at the office, we have tons and tons of boxes stacked up with nothing but clarity inside.
Yeah, well, that's what Gensler claims. Then he goes on to it pleads Ripple sold XRP in one giant offering, but then it says this offering is made up of over 1,700 individual contracts, which it then refuses to particularize. But then it will rely on to defeat the limitation period, which runs from the date of the first offer. To defeat the defense that XRP sales were conducted overseas, it alleges against longstanding custom and precedent that it has jurisdiction over overseas transactions. Now that is way out of line, Jeff.
That's amazing.
That's when somebody slaps
that's a long arm of the law right there.
They bitch slap you, just like, hey, sit back. They give you a little slap like that.
Oh my God, it's too much. It's too much. It
says that security can then become a non-security once the network's fully functional, but then it refuses to state when, if at all. Then XRPL became functional on the basis that that fact is irrelevant.
Of course, it's irrelevant.
And then just off the top of my head, the case is an embarrassment, woefully mendacious way to regulate via litigation. Would not be surprised if they pull a Hail Mary attempt to amend pleadings to include fraud just to stall the fair notice strikeout motions. Right?
That's interesting. Interesting take on that. And is that possible? Is that something that they would do? Yeah. Would they now go to that statement because they alleged that there's fraud, but they never come out and say that there's fraud. Right. And so
they don't even
they dance around it.
Listen, using words like reckless and everything else, that's not really alleging. But don't you think in this part of the case, in the discovery period, 9 months into it, don't you think the judge would be like, well, wait a minute. We had asked you in previous hearings, you're not alleging fraud here. She said it wasn't a fraud case. And now you come out with but he's saying that would be a Hail Mary. And, would we put it past him at this point? No. When you cage an animal and, get them in a corner and anything can go. And they've been backing themselves in a corner. They're doing a great job of destroying themselves, which is absolutely kind of funny, but
it's pretty amazing. Hey, you know what? I wanted to give a quick shout out to Shihab Hamdan because Shihab has been around in the community for a long time. We haven't seen him on for a while, and he just came in and he says, back with the OGs tonight. Great seeing the family.
Good to see you, man. Good to have you back. You guys can go do your thing. You come back to the fold. You basically share your ideas here. That's always great. You're always welcome. It's always great to have OGs in the house.
Who else is on? Is Mama Lacey's in here?
Mama Lacey's here talking about OGs. Yeah. Hello.
Yep.
Mama Lacey, man, that is fantastic.
Yeah. Very cool. Got it. Man.
Yeah. So, Jeff, you had put aside one of the comments that I actually thought was a really good comment that someone made. Do you want to jump on that?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, pull it up.
Let's pull it up and let's take a look at this thing. I guess let me.
You got it, or do you need me to open it?
I got it, but I just want to open it in a tab so it's all front and center. There we go. So let's
see what we got. Zoom in on that sucker. Let's see. Here we go. I'll zoom in. So I thought this was great. This is from Tom T. And, you know, just kind of our approach the other night. Well, and I got to zoom back out. So here he said, I'm thinking the opposite of you guys. I think a settlement for Ripple is what suits them best. You know, so a settlement clears them and XRP to do business. A summary judgment win on fair notice clears everyone, including their competitors. Ripple's in a good enough position to take a settlement for themselves that they will construct and SEC will agree to. It's another statement at the very end. Let me zoom up a little. The individual case will be thrown out. So, you know, it's interesting. You know, I like how, you know, we kind of go through this. I still don't believe that there's going to be a clear settlement in all of this. I think you know, it's going to have to come to judgment. And as it goes in front of the judge and we start hearing it, I think that's where we're going to get the best outcome. I believe that, you know, Ripple doesn't want to settle. They went into this understanding that the SEC doesn't want to settle. The SEC is trying to get to a point where they make a claim that XRP is a security and that Ripple is selling an unregistered security. Ripple needs to get to a point where it's acknowledged that they are not selling an unregistered security, you know, or at the end, you know, through judgment, maybe in the very, 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 very beginning when XRP was being used, they can make some sort of a claim, but that's even being negated. The majority of that was being done outside of the country where they shouldn't have jurisdiction, although the SEC is fighting for that ship. So I think there's so much more involved in it. I'm not using any kind of, you know, legal aspect to analyze it. I'm just looking at it, you know, from my perspective. But that's my take on it. I just see two parties that are very adamant about getting an outcome. And I don't see that there's a clear meeting of the minds. And I don't see an intersect anywhere. And I see that intersect. Ripple's very here. And the SEC could be here, right, with some of their chair people. But there's this other polarization that keeps pulling it further away, you know, and his name starts with G. And, you know, some of his ideas and some of the things that he wants to do. I don't know, Chip, what are your thoughts? I mean, is it feasible? Is it going to be possible?
I'll tell you what, sometimes I will default to the experts, and every once in a while I'll default to this person right here.
Come on, man, Berserker.
Berserker's in the house.
Berserker.
Well, we haven't played that in so long. Berserker, good to have you in here.
Berserker thing?
Berserker. Let's see what Berserker weigh in on that. Yeah, to be honest with you, I liked you when you were like right here, maybe not so much over here, but I liked right there. I like how you were doing that. That was funny. That was some good stuff. But let's get into some more awesome news. You know, sometimes, Jeff, things take time. Sometimes they take 2-3 years. When you're laying down rails and you're figuring stuff out, people forget about this stuff. But I want to go back to an article that was written on October 16th, 2019. And that is almost 2 years ago. We're coming up on 2 years since that. And this was Ripple partnered with world's third largest, now get that, Jeff, third largest fintech firm, Finastra, right?
That's
London-based
Finastra.
Finastra.
In 2019, I believe.
Back in 19, October 16th. We're almost at the 2-year delta there. So London-based Finastra partnered with Ripple to grant its customers access to RippleNet blockchain network. There's the handshake with some creepiness going on, but as reported by the FinTech Times, the cooperation between the two firms will see Ripple's over 200. Now, this is funny. They only had over 200. Now they're over 400. Clients reciprocally access Finastra's extensive banking network, includes 48 of the top 50 banks globally. Now, okay, well, that's pretty amazing, right? So, you know, what does that have to do with anything? Well, look at this right here. Here's an article that just came out today. This dropped today, and here's Finastra is identified as a leader in corporate digital banking platform market. Celent recognized standout capabilities with awards for the breadth of functionality, customer base, and support. Finastra has been named the leader in corporate digital banking platforms by Celent. Two reports, which cover North America and the rest of the world, recognize Finastra's standout capabilities in this sector. Pretty interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Especially when you're looking at 48 of the top 50 banks. Man, that's impressive.
It's
So
really
a lot of
impressive.
times,
Things are happening.
yeah. So a lot of times people go, like, there's going to be some intermediary where you've got a company like a Finastra who's working with 40 of the top 50 banks, and sort of by extension, they're also working with Ripple, and that's what a lot of people forget. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and here we have two stories 2 years apart. Finastra is the only provider in this analysis that supports nearly every functionality attribute in the Celent taxonomy and the major digital channels, demonstrating notable breadth of functionality. Finastra also stood out in new deals over the past 2 years, number of clients. So it's a company that's being recognized because they're extremely, their breadth of offerings via technology. And then it says their Fusion corporate channels is a solution to deliver portal technology, unified trade, supply chain, finance, class, lending, treasury services. More than 100 financial institutions and multinational corporations use the technology, benefiting from flexible, intuitive channel applications that can be delivered on demand, globally, and on any device. Pretty exciting, Jeff. It's like great to see a Ripple partner being really, noticed over there.
Noticed and engaged. Payments Canada and Ripple. I was in the process of looking that up. There was Payments Canada and Ripple. So I'm glad that you shouted that out. So XRP Speedboat, bringing
Speedboat.
some stuff up.
Yeah, while you're
So
looking for
here.
that.
So what do we got? Was it XRP Payments? What was it called?
Payments Canada.
Oh, Payments Canada.
We'll look it up. We'll get that looked up there, Speed. But if you got a link, always drop a link too. Not that we can access it from here. That's right, Berserker. I am laying the rails of liquidity, man. Laying it down for your entertainment.
There's some news that also dates back to 2019.
What does it say, Jeff?
I'm looking up more of it to see something more current.
Is this some news that dropped
Central
today?
Bank. Let's see here. A lot of news, but it doesn't show. It's not dating it. It's been a lot of movement in Canada.
Well, in the interim right here, I'll tell you what, I wanted to show these two things because sometimes I like just quick shots. It's not like we're going to spend a lot of time on them, but sometimes they're just fun. Sometimes it's just something fun. And this one here is one of them. Let's put this up here. I love when people take, they take something like Brad Garlinghouse and put them in a scenario. So this one here is, I will show you this one here. Let's look at this here. So while you're looking for that. It says, when everything is over with the SEC smokescreen, you'll be able to tell your kids a story about how you went through holding XRP, the world's #1 bridge currency. And look at this. This is kind of clever, Jeff. Look at this. It's Brad and the Beanstalk. And if you notice here, you paying attention, Jeff?
Yeah.
There it is right there. He's holding the Economist right there, the Economist version.
I like that.
Got the Riddler in the background. On top of the bull right there, you got the castle back there. You got the launch, the moon launch.
Is that a Riddler NFT? What is that?
It's I don't know. Somebody just did a piece of artwork. I don't know where it is. It's fantastic though. A little bony on the legs though. I don't know. His legs are a little questionable. Got some weird hair on it growing on that. I could be honest, but and the
I'm not finding anything current other than this publication that was released. Central Bank Digital Currency Fundamentals out of Payments Canada. They mention Ripple XRP in there as alternative payments. But then I see in this summary from dating back in 2019, they're talking about cross-border payments. They're talking about SWIFT. They're talking about Libra. They're talking about where to go. Ripple is in here somewhere. They got the Fedwire engaged in here.
And while you're looking for that, I wanted to read this comment by Matt LaRoche. He says, Ripple doesn't have to go after every bank or every customer. They just need the fintechs. It's like hiring generals. They deal with the network of banks, for example, Finastra, Earthport, Finabler, Accenture, SIA. That's exactly right, man. That's a great point, Matt, because some people are like, whoa, they work with all the banks. Well, maybe not directly. They don't have to. And that's a very good point that you brought up there. And Berserker puts it in line. It's just magic, man. That's all it is. Just a bunch of magic. Just magic.
So
Oh, here it
Payments
is right here.
Canada has really been breaking down a lot of
Someone
this
said
stuff.
watch King Solomon's video on Payments Canada. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to go back and look. I don't know if he's dissecting the new thing they released on the CBDCs, but they mentioned
know
them
what
as
that is.
alternative currencies back in 2019. They get into talking about stable coins for cross-border payments. And here it gets into stable coins offer instantaneous processing and security payments as many cryptocurrencies do. They also offer stability. Two digital currencies that fall into this category are RippleNet's native digital currency XRP and Stellar Networks native crypto XLM. Both Ripple and Stellar enable faster and more efficient cross-border payments relative to correspondent banking. But that's from 2019.
Yeah, but don't forget, he found a secret. See, Solomon's good at finding these secret documents. We haven't really found any secret documents lately, have we?
No.
No, we haven't found anything secret. So,
no.
But anyway, so let's look at this
and they
right
mention
here.
it again in that write-up on the CBDC. They mention it as an alternative currency, but there's no other like relationship that I can find. Maybe someone has a link or something they can send over, and we'll look into it.
There's probably not going to be a link. It's probably one of these.
Oh, I see. XRP. Oh, there's the video from King Solomon popped up. XRP Ripple and Canada's national payment system. That's what I've got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's probably like some patent thing and everything. So anyway, so here's Garlinghouse, you know, King's Court. He's got his little play right here, and I love that. He's got the XRP logo on there. It's kind of cool. Seen that before, but I think it's pretty interesting. For some reason, I got some lag tonight. I'm not exactly sure why.
Laggy lag. Probably on Wi-Fi.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not on Wi-Fi. I may have to restart and come back in. I don't know. Something weird's going on.
Here's another one, Remitter. I've never heard of Remitter. That's up in Canada.
Yeah, we've heard of Remitter.
Fueling business growth from Canada to the rest of the world. There's nothing new on that either.
No.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, you know what?
No
it's
idea.
A secret document or a
secret document, and we weren't very privy to the secret. But you know what? Way back here, Ann Egg had commented here. Ripple transferred the rest of Jed's XRP to his hot wallet today. If the volume keeps up, he'll be finished in 2 months. November, a magic month, big, huge question mark. What are your thoughts?
I don't think it matters. I don't think it's ever mattered. It's never mattered. I really don't care what Jed's doing with his money. I just hope that his ship is staying afloat over there with the XLM bounty, whatever it is, and he's doing a good job. I guarantee you he wishes he could keep that because he knows it's the difference between a billionaire and a multi-trillionaire, and it crushes him every day. But he's like, it doesn't matter. Our millions are cool.
Yep. I can scroll down. Big shout out to Darcy coming in from Galway.
Did you say that right, Jeff? I don't know. We'll see.
Probably not. I probably didn't.
Probably not.
Probably not.
So
Joshua is saying the secret documents will all be redacted. You get you get the secret document. It's nothing but black ink, the whole thing.
It's so secret. It was redacted. Yeah, nobody really knows. So
I wanted to. Even the people that wrote it don't know about it.
So I wanted to talk about this because this is something that we probably should take a look at. So this is Frank Chaparro put this out. He's the director of The Block. You know, The Block is a great publication. They put out good stuff. We looked at a lot of their articles, but he put this out. Consensus said today that Metamask now has more than 10 million monthly active users.
So that's exciting.
That equals a 19 times growth compared to July of 20. So that's almost a 20-time growth factor, which is insane. But Lee Quinn put this out, which I thought it really made me think. She says, it makes me crazy nervous seeing that most Ethereum things rely on a single wallet provider, largely owned by ETH co-founder, nodes relying on Amazon and Google. Is she hinting there that it's not really decentralized, Jeff? So yeah, someone's saying MetaMask, it's open source, but her main
open source wallet.
Yeah, it's open source, but it's largely owned by an ETH co-founder, and the nodes are reliant on Amazon and Google. So again, it's
an interesting take on it.
It's an interesting take.
And you have to use it in your browser.
I don't like anything in my browser, Jeff, except for. Now, the thing is about the MetaMask, because the MetaMask I've had some issues with. Now, the difference about is You know, like for example, I do have browser. I use a lot of browser plugins. Like for permission is just simple, easy, click, click, click. But the thing about using, it's been a little bit more difficult for me using MetaMask is because of the fees. It's been insane sometimes, right?
That part's brutal. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's been really difficult.
There's a new organization that's coming up and coming that is going to challenge the MetaMask. Well, I think it's good to have competition, but you certainly
I
cannot.
see that.
You cannot shake that growth. That's amazing growth. 20 times in 1 year. Any company would like
who's
to
the
grow
group
20
trying
times.
to? Maybe they do something that's not on ETH. No gas fees.
Yeah. Well, I think that's gonna be it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if that's gonna ever come to fruition, but we'll see, Jeff. We'll see.
I've tried using it. You know, I've really tried using MetaMask, and I've moved assets on and off, and it's just every time it's easy, but then it's frustrating, and then you know trying to move things with those gas prices, man, it's so I just don't like it. I don't like that whole idea. You know, always buffering, trying to figure out what it's going to cost you to send something. You know,
Right.
that
It's
one
not
time I moved
clean.
100, I was trying to move 100 off. It cost me 40 to get it on and get it off. And I was left with 60 and I didn't do anything. All I did was move it. And it was going from one place to the
Shameless.
next. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I just lost $40 in USDC or whatever I was moving, USDT, whatever it was. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I shouldn't lose anything. It's crazy. Look at this one too. Look. XRP panic, $98 for a $320 trip. It's outrageous.
Yeah, that's no way. That's no way to build an empire on. I mean, that's just crazy stuff right there, Jeff.
You build it on the ledger. Yeah, look at that. See, Mr. Right. Exactly. Stay away from the ETH. Even though the ETH is going to hit $4,000.
Well, Jeff, it's not like I don't own. I don't
ETH.
own some. I mean, I'm just not saying it was. It's not a.
I like going to. Yeah, it's been good to own so far.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been it's crossed over 3,500 again, so that's all good.
Where it's at 37.87 right now.
That's beautiful, man. It's a beautiful thing, and also it had the benefit.
XRP is at 123.
And after Hinman's speech, it took a little. I think it went up like 9 or 10%, something like that. So look at this, Jeff. There's some new projects out there. And we've got, as Binance announced, the museum's NFT collections titled "Your Token is Kept in the Hermitage."
Yeah, how cool is that? That's really interesting. But it's a Binance project. Do you know that?
Well, what I find interesting is the collection will include copies of Giorgione's Judith, Vincent van Gogh's The Lilac Bush, Kandinsky's composition number 6, Claude Monet's Corner of the Garden at Montgeron, and Da Vinci's The Madonna and Child. The museum will retain one virtual copy of each piece, while another copy will be auctioned at Binance Virtual Marketplace with a starting bin of 10,000 BUSD. 5 winners of the auction. Cool. It's pretty interesting. Like Aesthetics, Aesthetics. The other day we had the founder on. We talked a little bit about the project and what their plan is to actually buy paintings or buy the artwork, like acquire the artwork and then fractionalize it with NFTs. So it's kind of a really interesting take, the way they want to do that, so that the original one is kind of really out of the picture. Like that's sort of not what's key. So I don't know how they're going to actually do it, but they're also building their own marketplace, which is something that I learned. So instead of like getting an NFT from somewhere else, you'll get it at Aesthetics and projects out of Italy. And yeah, it'd be cool to see. And that they're building on the XRPL, so that's cool. Which I know you'll have low fees and costs and everything like that. That's going to be a good thing to look forward to.
Hands Loaded is saying, is there something similar to MetaMask that can be integrated with the XRPL federated sidechains?
The federated sidechains aren't up and running yet. It's just a proposal at this point.
I hope that would be so amazing. That gets through. There's so much.
Sidechains are going to be a game changer. Yeah, game changer. Look at this here. So Paul Murray says the Bank of England carried out a successful test of the interledger program developed by Ripple, the California blockchain specialist, to synchronize a payment between central bank systems. That's interesting. That's interesting, Jeff. What do you think?
Looking it up.
Buy swap.
Very cool. I think there's a ton of stuff going on here. Bank of
Yeah.
England, Ripple proof of concept.
Yeah, proof of concept's
yeah.
good. Buy swap, Ape swap, baby swap, using MetaMask and Binance Chain Wallet on browser will get you into DeFi to practice before Flare Finance goes live. Get to know it now. Thank me later. That's good advice there, Dr. Orlando XRP Hitman Wallace.
I like it.
It's a good way to get started, right?
Hey, whatever happened to the what was the bird token that they were dropping?
Yeah, the BRD.
Whatever
Yeah,
happened to it? No, not the bird
the
token, but
Songbird.
the songbird, yeah.
They haven't
The
launched it yet.
SNG. No, we didn't hear anything about timing. I forgot what they said.
I think they're getting
remember. I'll
close.
have to look
They're
it up
getting
again.
close, but they haven't launched it yet. I mean, it's a close thing. So no, it's just not. They're just not there yet, Jeff. They're just not. They're not 100% there yet.
Not gonna happen.
No, it'll happen. It's just gonna take its sweet
Sean
time.
Thompson, what is up?
So I will say this: that guys, we know we've been trying to get on the chain. One of the founders of this next company here, but Standard Chartered joins crypto-focused Global Digital Finance Alliance. They became the first bank to join the Global Digital Finance, known as the GDF Patron Board, an alliance of firms working collaboratively to raise the standards for custody, settlement, finality, and brokerage across the crypto and digital assets landscape. Over 100 global corporations or organizations are members of the GDF, and over 350 industry professionals from around the world have worked on developing the GDF codes of conduct in concert with market participants, policymakers, and regulators. So that's pretty interesting. Jeff Cott, the global head of finance markets, said, "We look forward to these opportunities where we can collaborate with the other global experts to support the adoption of digital assets, as well as contribute, facilitate, lead the industry dialogue on digital asset standards." And that's where they will be working with these organizations for the custody side, which is really kind of super interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting to see these types of things. And you see as they're going mainstream, they're getting adoption. You're seeing that the exposure of the crypto space, the digital assets, a lot of good stuff. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to Jesse over here. I thought this was great. You guys explaining MetaMask should be the commercial for the XRP ledger. Imagine that.
Well, the thing about it is, see, what I think there's going to be a massive shift. The same way, look, I mean, is this new network, is Flare Finance going to unseat? Sorry, I didn't freeze right there. I just had a little brain fade. Are they going to unseat Ethereum? No, I mean, no, but they're going to be a strong challenger. Now, no, it's not like you're going to let's take down Bitcoin, but sometimes newer tech, faster, quicker, more cost effective, as they start developing more things, with Flare being launched, especially with Flare Finance, like that right there. And this is what was the earlier OTC member it alluded to, was that until that launches, you can get acquainted with it right now. But I do see that there's probably going to be a large ecosystem of certain other projects that might gravitate more towards like a Flare Finance, and some of the, and all the other signal providers on there, especially the XRP community. But I do see it opening up to a larger potential community, especially when it could turn out that it's a lot easier to use and you don't have those gas fees. Now, we've been hearing forever, Jeff, that Ethereum is going to switch over. And when does that happen? I've been working on it for 2 years. I don't know if they ever make the switch, quite honestly. We'll have to see what
it's going to take a while for that to actually come to fruition. A lot of these things, you think about, if you're going to make that kind of a transition, what do you want to make sure that you have in place before you make the transition? You don't want to make it and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. It's kind of like everyone beating up on Flare for not going live. It's like, Hey, you know what? If they feel it's not there, it's not there. You're messing around with people's money. It becomes, financials, and then it's a whole different world for them because people are going to turn sour on them instantly. So you can go from hero to zero overnight, and there's no reclaiming it. Once you hit that, the media is going to be going to be their end. just one major hiccup, and they're done. And I think now there's a lot of focus on making sure that everybody's, I think, on the up and up. I think, that's going to be critical.
Yeah, without a doubt. I wanted to. So one thing that I think is really absolutely soured El Salvador, all the gains they've made, all the recognition they've made. Okay, so you have some people that are demonstrating, but right here, Jeff, this is so counter to what Bitcoin's about. And, especially when you're dealing with libertarians, anti-Bitcoin law activist was arrested in El Salvador. The El Salvadorian police, they arrested activist Mario Gomez, a vocal critic of President Nayib Bukele's recently passed Bitcoin law, which makes BTC. Now, this is just sours the whole thing, Jeff.
But what do you think, though? I mean, why do you think that is? What do you think happened?
Well, I mean, you're going against the official narrative. You're outspoken against what the president says. And again, it's not a free speech zone.
But why is he such a vocal critic against
the new law? I don't think it matters. The point is, what grounds do you arrest somebody because they disagree with the Bitcoin? A bunch of people disagree. So they're trying to squash this, and then they look like another Venezuela or Cuba. They don't look anything different, trying to shove something down someone's throat and let people speak out if they don't want it. It said they arrested without charge cryptocurrency and computer system specialist Mario Gomez, a vocal critic of the country's newly passed Bitcoin law. El Salvador's controversial Bitcoin law, spearheaded by the president, makes Bitcoin legal tender in the country on par with the US dollar and compels most merchants to accept it as payment. Gomez, the founder of tech incubator Hackerspace, is among the more high-profile Salvadorians who have spoken out about the new law's implementation. Elena de Gomez said his mother told the local newspaper that she was unaware of the reason for her son's arrest, because there is no reason. He spoke out against the president. Though police claim the analyst is being investigated over allegations of financial fraud. Yeah, okay, well, that's...
You throw that in there. And that's exactly what's...
They can hang anything on you, Jeff.
Related to finding... They can say, and they say it's an investigation, alleged. That's why he's being detained. They maybe had some suspicions.
It says he's being investigated over fake emails sent to various bank users whose accounts were compromised.
And then they released them. But we don't know. I mean, maybe there's some other history here, and there's some other tensions going on. And I'm still trying to figure out what is the bigger play as you start adding these digital assets to your economy, And so they're not forcing people to get onto Bitcoin. They're basically saying if someone wants to pay you in Bitcoin, you have to accept it. And that's because it's an official currency. So does it go down to a point, though, when you're traveling around the country or around the world and you pull out your American Express, many countries, you can't use American Express as readily as other places, especially in the US. And even Bitcoin, but I'm just saying, I'm wondering, so if a store has they have a choice. Hey, I want to accept it. I don't want to accept it. So if you go down there, but they're forcing, based on what we had read, they're basically they're not forcing, but they're mandating that it's now legal tender and you have to accept it if someone wants to pay with it.
Yeah,
now, it's a difficult situation.
Hours before his arrest, Mario sent a cryptic message to the El Salvador's intelligence agency. It's not me, it's your own people. The more you try to hide what you do, the more people will come out and expose what you hide. So I don't know what that means, but it doesn't sound anything like he had anything to do with, I guess, doing something. Who knows? They can hang anything on him and say, well, you did this, you did that, you should have done this. Yeah. I mean, who really knows?
Yeah, it's cool stuff. But check this out. If you're over there in in Russia, check this out. So a 34, now could you imagine this? First of all, a 34-year-old man stole a cryptocurrency mining rig, but didn't know. He didn't know what it was. Well, he says he didn't know that it was a cryptocurrency mining rig.
Why did he take it?
Didn't know what the value was. The worst part, right, is that they convicted him for the theft of his friend's crypto mining equipment valued at $22,000. Now,
Some rig, man.
yeah. So how do you not know, right? Your buddy's mining Bitcoin in his garage. You come over to his garage. He's your buddy. You hang out with him. Do you not know that he's mining cryptocurrency in his garage as your friend? Now, either this is wrong, that it's not his friend, or he knew and he took it, then he's pleading ignorance after the fact. But look, the state prosecutor corroborated that the accused was seen on February 21 unlawfully entering the friend's garage. As a result, he made he made away with the friend's mining equipment meant for cryptocurrency acquisition. I just think it's always funny the way they put words together. But he unlawfully enters his friend's garage, steals his rig because he knows the guy's make. It's just crazy. But he's facing, I think he got 3 years in jail. 3 years. Where was it? It was either on this one or I read it somewhere else. It's just crazy.
Well, don't steal stuff,
Crazy
man.
stuff,
I mean, the
right?
bottom line is whether you knew it was that or not. I mean, you should be taking someone's gear. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Then he confessed in court. He said he couldn't use the mining equipment he stole because he doesn't have the required knowledge of how the rig works. So before he said he didn't know what it was, but now he's saying even though he stole it, he didn't even know how to use it. So what kind of nonsense?
A likely story, Jeff.
But how about this? This is what I find was interesting too. So Russian authorities building monitoring system, right? They're to monitor. Look, the Russian Federal Financial Monitoring Services duty is to combat money laundering as well as terrorist financing. Therefore, this federal service is building the latest analytics tool to track crypto transactions through AI. The new system is nicknamed Transparent Blockchain to keep an eye on digital financial asset movements. So the aim is to combat illegal activities connected to digital assets, but also basically to keep an eye on what people are doing. They want to watch the movement. So that's what Russia's up to. What are your thoughts? Good or bad?
My thoughts
Good,
are I'm
bad, or
lagging out,
indifferent
and I have
from El
no idea
Salvador?
why. I have no idea why I'm lagging out.
Oh, you're frozen now.
Which is bad. So I'm gonna
What's
pop out
funny
of here for a
is that your
second.
eyes are still blinking. It's hilarious. Oh my God, it's funny. So Jesse says the sign on the garage said legit legit IT job, not a rig. That's funny. Russia AI will watch the Russian government. How do you like that one? So you get more surveillance on the blockchain. The thing is, and what we're seeing there is that it completely is contradictory to everything that you hear from like Janet Yellen or Elizabeth Warren or others that keep saying that digital assets, and once it's on blockchain, are only used for nefarious purpose because they can't be tracked. And now there's obviously a lot of agencies out there that spend their entire existence tracking digital asset on the blockchain. And now here's another one that's going to come out of Russia. But I do think it's funny. AI monitoring. Who's monitoring the AI? That's what I want to know. That's funny. Too much CPU processing power to smooth chips hair. That's great. Here we go, Jim D. The anti-money laundering will market FUD to charge all 10x of the small cost of actual real money laundering to money laundering in plain sight as fake protectors. It gets out of control. The whole thing is just a little bit too much. So there are a couple of things here. This is old. This was from like back in April, but after Ripple China's CIPS now competes with SWIFT departure from the US dollar. This is like 2 years ago. China already investigated how do you take on SWIFT? How do you circumvent all the things that SWIFT was working on? And this is before the launch of the digital yuan. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on over in Russia, in China, in all these different areas. Really interesting. But then, I was going through all of that, and then I got into something. There's this great article, and this was written a couple days ago. Let me see if I can pull this up. This was interesting because it's called Digital Dollars, a central bank first approach to digital currency risks crushing innovation. So it was really, they're drawing this comparison. CBDC is good or bad. You have those in favor, those against. Or do they want a CBDC in the US? Do they want to digitize the US dollar like they are with the digital yuan? But look at this. But a general purpose Fed e-dollar actually risks stifling innovation on private payments. And so I thought that was really spot on, because you look at CBDCs. So if you want to go very centralized to the digital currencies, like a digital yuan, then what happens to all of those within the private space that deal with payments? And the examples are huge, right? Because think about how many different private entities there are focused in and around payments for the longest time. Look at this. Here you go. So this is private. So you have banks created global payment networks like MasterCard, Visa, Swift, right? And then you have the private sector person-to-person payment systems like Venmo, Square, Zelle, digital wallets like PayPal, Apple Pay, Google Pay. And then you have cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ether, and XRP. So they're looking at this, and it was such a great thing. Chip, I was looking at this article. They're talking about digital payments, digital dollars. You know, is it good? Is it bad? Is the CBDC good or bad? And the premise here is that a general purpose federal e-dollar will crush innovation in the private sector, and then showing some examples as to what actually did happen in the private sector. And you're basically going to do away with all of that if you try to centralize control the digital dollar. And I thought that was an interesting perspective on it. They get a lot more in depth into a lot of other examples on that. But yeah, it was really, really cool. So
yeah, for some reason I'm lagging out, so I'm probably just going to just chill. I don't know why. It could be my router needs to be reset, but for some reason it's like a little bit slower than usual. I don't know why.
That could be good. Well, it's good too, because we're almost at the hour.
Which is good, man. It's always good to might as well just wrap it up right now, man. Wrap it.
Before we do, let me just throw one thing in there. You can just NFT whale Pranksy, pranked by fake Banksy. So someone bought a fake Banksy for 97 ETH.
But they pranked him, right? They pranked him by a Banksy? They pranked him
by, it was a fake Banksy. They pranked him. He bought it. They said it was real, worth $341,000. But after the website they said it was a fake. And then they
look at the artwork. Look at the artwork, and you'll be like, how are you so stupid you don't know what Banksy's work looks like? There it is. That's not Banksy's work.
Right.
That's not even CryptoPunk's work. That's just garbage. Yeah. So if you're Pranksty, you'll fall for anything you'll fall for a prank where you fall for a fake Banksy. Your name should be Pranksty. You should.
But look where it was. It was on OpenSea. So how does it even get to OpenSea? How did they even get it up there? And then
anybody can post anything they want, Jeff. It doesn't matter.
I get it. I know, but it's a fake, and it's like, so there's obviously an element that still needs to be identified, that if someone's promoting it under another, even if you can recognize it or not, you think it's legit, there has to be a
what
good
that's
way
like the
of
police
delegitimizing it,
Yeah, imagine how you police something like that with the tens of thousands of submissions per day. You just can't.
There's such a thing called the blockchain.
You can't no, you can't police something like that with the user account. I mean, eventually you realize it's not real. I mean, that's one of the things, but no, you can't police something like that.
I think you can. Look how many times we get hit on.
Explain the algorithm that you use. Okay.
Look how many times we get hit on YouTube.
Yeah, but YouTube can't. YouTube are supposedly the smartest humans on the planet, and they're the dumbest humans on the planet.
But that's what I'm saying, is that it can be done. I'm not saying that they're in the position to do it. Of course,
it cannot be done. No, because there's a resale market. Someone could say, I'm selling a Banksy on a resale market. Doesn't matter.
I know, but then you can just look at the stamp within the blockchain to authenticate it.
No.
That's the whole point of the NFT, is to authenticate it. Yes. Otherwise, if you have an NFT that can't be authenticated as legitimate,
there's always going to be fakes. There were fake Bored Ape Yacht Clubs. There were fake.
I know, but if you look at if there's a way to look at the blockchain and see its origination, that's where the stamp is. It's on the origination, and that can be easily done.
Well, they ultimately OpenSea is the one that found out that it wasn't real. But I mean,
it can be done.
No way to police it.
Of course,
there's no algorithm you can write. There's nothing you can police because there's aftermarkets.
Then what you're saying is the whole blockchain is irrelevant.
No, what I'm saying is, how are they privy to know what's on the blockchain? You think they know what's on the blockchain?
Once you upload it to OpenSea, if you add it to OpenSea, they're monitoring the chain.
Google
You
can't
write an
monitor
algorithm.
the same style of BS comments. The first one goes, "Great stream, mate," and it goes into a whole long thing that says, "Here's my contact information." The same length, same character length. Somebody else chimes in 8 things later. Google can't do that.
It's different.
It's gonna. I'm saying it. I'm not saying it can't be done. It's a very difficult thing to police.
It will be done. They found an obvious hole in their mechanism. I say it gets fixed. And Jesse says this is actually a great conversation.
Yeah.
Explored further.
Well, one of the few times we disagree, so I mean, it's fine.
I seen a new Banksy today. Them are not it though.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That is it. Chip, you know we stream 6 days a week.
We do.
XRP Speedboat misses peanut butter and jelly in the same jar.
I remember those days. Those were pretty good. What was that called? It was like a purple bottle.
Time.
That was awesome. You just get a swipe and you get a bunch of that. Yeah, that was good.
Peanut butter jelly.
That was good stuff.
It was good stuff. You just needed a spoon in a jar, and you're good to go.
All right. Well, that's all I got. And well, guys, we'll see
6
you
days a week. Let's wrap this up.
The
Thursday.
Next one. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there.
Or be square. That's so lame. Okay, we're out of here. We've had enough. Let's go. Let's get out of here.
Enough of that. Enough.
All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
See you on the next one. We're out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.